So we just saw the Cadillac Williams show. And I must say, am I the only person that watched that game and felt like Auburn looked completely different than they have looked all season? And what do you mean by that, dudes? Even in a loss, that was probably the most entertaining Auburn game that I've seen all year. The energy. And I think anybody who watched that game, even when Auburn went down like 18 points or 21, something like that, whatever it was when they went down, you had that feeling that Auburn was never out of the game. Even when Mississippi State was running up and down the field, you just had that feeling that, you know what, somebody's going to make a play. Something's going to happen. And I think that energy was a direct result of Cadillac Williams being the head coach. There were some things that I saw that I haven't seen all year. And it just kind of goes to show you, like, with the previous regime versus what some fresh energy can do. No new players. Zero new players. We saw guys that we haven't seen play as much. Even some of the rotational pieces that you saw in the game this week, you know, you may not have seen before, and that may be due to some guys who, you know, may be entering the transfer portal. But just to see how that team came together, how they fought together, how they fought for Coach Cadillac, Coach Lack, how they fought for him, it was really good to see. And to see his energy out there, man. Lack, look, first of all, Lack looked like he wanted to grab them shoulder pads himself and go out there. The funniest thing to me is, I wouldn't care if it was 4th and 19. Lack was looking like, should we go for it? Like, every time it was a thought across his mind of going for it on 4th. And I love it. You know why? What do you have to lose? You're playing with house money. We knew what this team was. We've seen the roster already. So with Lack being able to say, you know what, go for it. Go for it. Go for it. Because eventually you're going to get one, right? And 2, trying to create a spark on the road in Starkville. The Cowbells are going. And, you know, you got to think, the man got the job on Monday and had to get these boys ready to play by Saturday in the game where they were under 14-point underdogs. 2 touchdown underdogs against Mississippi State. I think it ended up at 12.5. And just to see how that Auburn energy, the passion that he coached with. And I think the most telling portion of the whole game that I saw, and what made me kind of be like, damn, dog. Hey, Lack, all right, I like Lack in this role. And I can't say how long he should be in the role. I can't say if he's going to be a candidate. I think he should be. I think he should at least get an interview. But at the end of the day, even if just for the strength, on the strength of him taking this job on short notice and getting these boys ready to play, I think he should at least get an interview. But what I saw that made me say, dang, number 76, Jeremiah Wright, gets a really, really costly penalty, right? I think it moved Auburn out of field goal range or whatever, and it was a personal foul, unnecessary roughness, where he's blocking the whistle blows. He doesn't hear the whistle, and he finishes a guy off. Oh, he gets up, yeah, oh yeah, and everybody's looking around like, bro, you can't do that. You can't do that, bro. So, you know, but what he did was he finished off a block, and it was something that you haven't seen from Auburn's offensive line. It's one of those things where you want the aggression. You want somebody to be excited for finishing somebody off, especially along the offensive line, which has been like, I mean, the much maligned offensive line. I mean, basically, like, if you go on Twitter, like, all you see is how bad the offensive line is. And the offensive line hasn't been great. So to see that type of play, that type of aggression, is one of those things where you want to see the guy in the moment, but you also want him to understand the gravity of the moment. Like, hey, you can't do that right now. So the guy comes off the field, 76 comes off the field. You know what? I see Lack. Me knowing Lack, he's thinking, dang, I need him to keep that aggression, but I just need him to harness that aggression. In that moment, he knew what that kid needed. So at any other program, this is really moment specific, and this is why sometimes what goes into coaching is so much more the X's and O's. So he could have went off on a kid, right? Like you might see a Nick Saban, or you might see like a Kirby Smart or somebody like that. Like could have went off on him right then. In those programs at this time, that probably would have been the right thing to do. You got to snatch him off because you probably got another guy, another 5-star that's waiting to go in, and you can't make those type of mistakes. So yeah, he probably would have cursed. He would have been cursed out. But at Auburn, he's probably the best thing you had on the offensive line. He's probably the best offensive lineman, and nobody was expecting that out of him. So he, once he makes that play, Lack gets him, and he hugs him and says, "Hey man, hey, you can't do that, but I love it. You can't do that, son, but you got to keep that aggression. But you can't do it right there." And you can see him, and you can see the player, right, like pointing to his ear, like I didn't hear the whistle. So in that moment, Lack knew there's an old saying in the South. Sometimes you get more with sugar, you get more flies with sugar than you do shh, if you know what I mean, right? Lack picked his battle at the time and understood what was needed because he had to keep that guy engaged in order for Auburn to have a chance to win. And if you notice, they ran off his backside a whole lot. 76 has probably been, over the past 3 to 4 weeks, he's probably been the best offensive lineman Auburn has had. So that, case in point, in that moment, that's one of those things that made me say, dang, that's the part of the Auburn culture that has been missing, in my opinion, which has been that, kind of like knowing how to get the most out of your players. All players are not created equal. There are going to be some guys you're going to have to love up on. There's going to be some guys that you're going to have to bite on. But at the end of the day, knowing when to do what is a skill that I think that the right head coach for Auburn will have to have. You cannot be, and it's one of those things that you have to know how to do without being considered as playing favorites. So you don't want a guy that only has one speed. He's only got the fastball. And so every time that there's somebody that needs to be disciplined, every time that there's somebody who makes a bad play, every time there's somebody who might have missed a class, they're all treated 1,000% the same. Because all players aren't the same, and everybody will not respond to the same thing. Now, what I will say, that punishments need to be fair across the board. But there's a way to deal with each individual player on your roster, and to have the pulse of that roster, for the head coach to have the pulse and know what buttons to push, what strings to pull, when to bite, when to hug, when to yell, when to love. I think that is an underrated skill in coaching today, and I think whoever Auburn hires, they have to have it. One thing about it, Cadillac has it already.